Good morning, grade 6, and welcome to Organisation Part 2. Today we're going to focus on sequence and transition words. And so this might be something that you are pretty familiar with, but it might also be something that you have no idea what I'm talking about. And that's totally fine because you actually use these more than you think, so it won't be as hard as you might be imagining. All right, so throughout this slideshow, I'm going to give you a bit of an idea of what sequence and transition words are, and then there'll be a couple of activities along the way. So when I give you the activity, just pause, and then you can do the activity, and then you can come back to it, okay? So don't just rush through, or you can watch it once and then go back and watch it again, but it is a good idea to pause the video as you are doing the activity. Okay, so you've started writing and you get some feedback from a friend or your teacher, and your writing just isn't flowing properly. It's very stop-start, and you are trying to figure out a way to fix it. And often the reason for this is because you haven't used transitional sequence words and you might have lots of little sentences. Okay, so when you have lots of little sentences, it's very hard for the writing to flow and engage the reader. So I'm going to show you what those words are throughout this slideshow, the next couple of slides, and then it'll make a little bit more sense. So let's start with transition words. And I've got a sentence here, or two sentences. I plan to go to the park this Saturday. It's going to rain all day. So at the moment, that's one of those stop-start sentences, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense, okay? So something's missing, so it doesn't flow properly. So what is missing is a transition word. So I want you to think about what word you might put in there. So I've replaced a full stop with a comma, and I've added a word. So I plan to go to the park this Saturday, comma, but it's going to rain all day. So you probably could put in something like because it's going to rain all day, but that means that you really like being in the park when it rains, and that's totally fine. But for the sake of this little exercise, let's just put in a comma and but, and it makes the most sense, okay? The sentence now flows. It's not two short sentences. It's now one longer sentence, and it flows much nicer. So some transition word examples are ones that you've seen regularly and you use all the time in your writing. However, because, also, for, and but. I want you to, in your writing book, write transition word examples at the top of your page with the date, obviously. Write those 5 out, and I want you to think of as many more as you can. And tomorrow in our meeting, we will share a few of those, and you can write some more down that others may have thought of. Okay, a sequence word. Okay, these are something we use when we're talking about steps or the order of doing something. So we often use them or you might see them in persuasive pieces or procedural texts. But you do see them in lots of other types of writing too. You just have to focus and look for them a little bit more. Okay, so some examples of these are first, next, and then. Again, same as the transition activity. I want you to write the heading sequence words, write the 3 examples, and then think of some others to write in your book. Don't forget you can pause this. All right, we're going to move on to the actual activities for this session. So activity 1, you're going to read the paragraph below and write down in your book all of the transition words. You don't have to write the paragraph, just write the transition words out, okay? So you need to think of a heading for this one. Alternatively, you can print it and glue it into your book and highlight it. Because this slideshow is going to be on, and the PDFs will be on the classroom for you to use as well. Activity number 2, read the jumbled sentences, which is on the next slide, and put them in order. Think about the transition words and the sequence words, okay? So you can either do 2 things. You can print it out, cut, and glue it in order, or if you don't have a printout, that's cool, but you're going to have to write it out so you can practice your handwriting. How lucky are you? So you need to put it in order as well. So you don't start by writing geckos darted about if that's not the first sentence. You need to really think about what the first sentence might be. So it might take a few goes of reading through it properly to figure out which might go first. Okay, once you've done those 2 activities, you can go on to your writing. Just remembering that you've got to think of your writing piece for the term. So you should have started developing some ideas in your seed book and potentially ready to plan. You can choose any form of writing, but you can't do something that you've done last term. So if you did a narrative last term, you can't do a narrative this term. We want you to try something new. So you should have all of the ideas in your book so you can go and choose a different text type. And focus